SFDC Radio.com and mash up the world.
Rastafari Millennium Council. What's this all about? Meanwhile, female selection. Donna Marie.
Only you can give me sweet, sweet love. Sweet, sweet love. Love me till you give me good love. Sweet, sweet love. Yeah. Love me till you give me good love. Together we can move any mountain. Never gonna let nothing standing our way. If I should ever lose my baby.
Remember, say, Luton told me that Yasso Bedford United Kingdom of the diaspora. Walk on down, Yasso.
I will be calling for you, baby.
Feminine selection. One link up with the Honorable Prophet God, Prophet Greg. Right after this track, you watch it.
Calling for you, babe. 'Cause only you can give me sweet, sweet love, babe. Sweet, sweet love, babe.
Other things on the agenda. What's going on with reparation? They entered a petition to the parliament. You don't know, it says SFDC Radio was actively involved. Enough ones them signed the petition. Again, I'm still waiting for a report, update. I wonder if the version of where we hope say Prophet Greg and the idea man. Then we can give you an update. What is the response? What needs to happen next? What is happening next?
Calling for you, babe.
Reparations, repatriation.
Only you can.
Decriminalization of the holy herb. What is the fight there, so? What is the state of affairs going on? There, so.
Calling for you, babe. 'Cause only you.
Caricom. What is Caricom going on? Are we happy with so far the progression? 10 points. What's happening with those 10 points?
Like it when you give me good love, babe.
Locked into the year one, www.sfdcradio.com 24/7. I just were there. Remember, sir, Kush Genesis with the original Kush Genesis in the Nubian Beat. Remember, sir, 24/7. Big up, going out to all of the family. Everybody doing their part of the work, keeping the vibration going. LPOJ, yes. Everybody FedEx. Everybody who are doing vibration all over the world. We say all time pauses. Everybody who are doing vibration within the family. We say all time every time. Right now, once we can link up, yes, and link up and go and have some reason. I don't know, say apologies for all those who was expecting a show Monday. I wasn't here Monday. You see, to apologize for that on Monday. You don't know, say Monday is all about enough reasoning, enough vibe, food for thought, yes. This evening we're going to have enough food for thought because many of us have heard, some of us haven't heard about the Rastafari Millennium Council. Some people have heard about the Ethio-African Diaspora Union Millennium Council. Asking, is it the same thing? Is it two different things? Is it an abbreviation? What we're going to get clarification. What is the myth? What is the facts? Yes, it's all about education, information, stimulation, so that the people them are able to emancipate themselves from mental slavery. Africans have committed no sins unless the pursuit of independence and freedom from colonial oppression is considered to be one. End of quote. Is in pure modesty, Haile Selassie the First. At this moment in time, I do want to say honorable greetings. Welcome to the show, www.sfdcradio.com. Honorable Prophet Greg, welcome to the show.
Yes, blessed love and greetings, Honorable.
Give thanks.
Yes, is this Ras Kush?
This is Ras Kush, King Man. You're live on the air. The all world lock you in. Gambia lock in and listen to you. The whole of the Luton town area them lock in. The whole world lock in right now to the right honorable Prophet Greg. Give thanks, King. Go ahead, King Man. Welcome to the show.
Yes, greetings again, beloved, and give thanks for this opportunity to address the eye from the radio station. I want to give greetings to all because, you know, this is our 84th celebration of the coronation of His Imperial Majesty. So we say blessed love and greetings to all in the name of the Emperor Haile Selassie Jah, Rastafari, and give thanks for the celebration, the 84th coronation anniversary going through here. I know we have also beside me Rastlands, so we're going here forward, but we just heal up ones and ones now to make them know we're live and direct. We're here to make our clarity and presentation as how you say, but first of all, yes, I am definitely a member of the Ethio-Africa Diaspora Union Millennium Council. That's what we are registered at. We also known as AKA the Rastafari Millennium Council. The legal registration, though, as you rightly say, is the Ethio-Africa Diaspora Union Millennium Council. So you have it right there, you have it locked there. So we just are going through to know if you want me to go through and give a briefing of the council work, or you would like to have a few words with Raslan Soshing, who's right beside me right now.
Well, we give thanks for that clarification, my brother. We give thanks every time for the clarification. It's what I say, so the people know, so the Ethio-African Diaspora Union Millennium Council, and you got the AKA Rastafari Millennium, the one vibration, the one body. So we give thanks for that clarification. And again, just so the people understand and who understand who are they listening to. People around the world will hear your voice and will feel your soul. Who is Prophet Greg?
Yeah. Yes, beloved. Chatting up Rastafari for over 20 years. I'm currently the General Secretary of the Rastafari Millennium Council, RMC in short, or EADUMC. We formulated the council in 2007, the inauguration of the council. But you don't know, I chatting this faith, seeking to work for Rastafari, work for black people redemption, as you know, a member also of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, or Bobo Shanti as the ones know. We always stand for freedom, redemption, and international repatriation. So the works is one and the same. In that, though, we have intensified the works of the council. So as Prophet Greg, we tried into the Rastafari Global Reason in 2003, because as you know, that was a global conference that brought I and I closer together to have a one voice representation, but that never materialized. And so the council in its effort now try to bring forward this clarity of a one voice representation for all, in the sense of all the atrocities, all the directives, all conditions that is impacting on the Rastafari movement from that time to this time. So we are just continuing the process. So just a brief synopsis: in 2003, following the Durban Declaration of 2001, which you know that was a world conference against racism that had brought repatriation and reparation through the United Nations to be back on track.
Honorable Greg, I'm not going to cut that because I'm going to need that. Just to show, before we go on further, I just want to show acknowledgement to Ras Lance. Just want to give a greetings. We could just acknowledge Ras Lance first and then go deep forward again into the history, my brethren. Give thanks, yes. So, because we have 2 hours allocated, so we're not rush no vibration. What they them, because it's about education, information. So we give thanks at this moment. Just a brief introduction in reference to Ras Lance, and then we want to come forward to the eye to kind of pick up from which part you leave off there, so everything is relevant in the scheme of things. Yes?
Blessed greeting, Ras Kush.
Ras Lance, you say honorable greetings, welcome to...
This is Ras Ho Shing, Lance Ho Shing.
Lang Ho Shing, give thanks.
Ho Shing. Right, before we go into it, I'd like to say, in the presence of our Almighty Lord, Iesus Christos, also known as Jesus Christ, we send one perfect blessing to our people in London, people all over Europe, right, in the one name, one God, one aim, one destiny, and this is what it's all about. And as you know, we have done some significant works towards the Rastafari movement, significantly in 2003 in London, when we brought back the 53 recommendation that came out of global reasoning. We brought together the mansions, all the different ones from the Rastafarian group to the Nation of Islam, pertaining to that 53 recommendation. That recommendations was implemented fully into the continent of Africa. We then came back here in Jamaica, 2005, with the South African Union Diaspora Conference. And out of that conference came 15 resolutions. And because, as you said, what we had recognized is that a lot of the problems that we have in the movement actually came here out of Jamaica. So when you hear of the Millennium Council, when we came here, there was different mansion that was operating, and obviously 2005 brought us in 2006, which was closer to the Millennium celebration. We then realized this was the opportune time to bring all mansion together. This is why the Ethiopian Millennium Council was formed at that time, because it was all inclusive of all African in the diaspora.
So the aims and the objective, because I like when you come on to it, because that take we right on now to the natural vibration, just to elaborate a little bit more upon the aims and the objectives of the Ethio-African Diaspora Union Millennium Council.
Okay. All right, Prophet Greg speaking, and give thanks.
Honorable Prophet Greg, give thanks.
Yes, well, basically, we from 2007 we created the framework. So the RMC aims and objectives, which are really 7 principal objectives. We have woven this also in a brochure that we had presented and distributed in 2014, because it is still the same.
Yes.
So we're just going to briefly outline.
Give thanks. Yes. In a nutshell. Yeah. In a nutshell. Give thanks, Prophet Greg.
All right, as you know, the fundamental principle is to support and develop effective governance and cooperation between all houses, mansions, and independent organizations, and even individuals that make up the Rastafari community or nation in Jamaica, while networking with the diaspora, and also developing communities worldwide in order to be able to working to represent the Rastafari indigenous culture in a united, collective theocratic governance for repatriation. So I don't know if you want me to go briefly into the 7 principal outline.
Yeah,
but
because that would be nice, because we have the time without the rushing, because we could look at some of the, I would say it's all about some of the basic aims and objectives, so people can see what is the remit within the bodies. Yes, King.
All right, so the 2 that we have identified, not necessarily in the order, but you don't know we have to put repatriation first up front, because the I demand that freedom, redemption, and international repatriation. Number 2 is actually to advocate and identify political and legal negotiating strategies and representation with appropriate bodies in order to further the interests of the Rastafari communities in matters of repatriation, reparation, cultural heritage projects, human rights and welfare, and intellectual property, and the like, and spread those best practices throughout. 3, to identify, secure, protect, and manage the IP rights of the Rastafari communities, which is intellectual property rights of the communities, Rastafari communities, on behalf and for the benefits of Rastafari. Item 4 is actually to provide support and empowerment to all Rastafari members and Rastafari mansion and organization in the practice and furtherance of their living faith. 5, to form productive working alliances with all organizations that are able to assist the RMC with the fulfillment of the objectives. 6, to serve as a communications resource and information center for all Rastafari communities in Jamaica and wherever possible. And 8, and number 7, to identify ventures and opportunities to raise and manage funds in order to better achieve all the RMC's objectives and serve the institutional development and delivery to the Rastafari nation. This goal is in process through a uniquely designed multi-purpose Rastafari trust fund that has been registered and an opening operation account. So basically, these are the principal framework that we are operating together to aid the development and really the rights of the Rastafari community. I can just briefly analyze it, because you know the Rastafari struggle was always one that is towards human rights violation. Hence the need to seek redress from colonialism and slavery, and our demands for repatriation with compensation and all form of redress. But since that has not been activized from the continuance of I&I struggle, even from the times of Marcus Messiah Garvey, Back to Africa movement, etc. But we find that in the essence of demanding rights, human rights violation, this is how we approach international bodies and the United Nations demanding repatriation, reparation. However, because we have been victimized and resilient in our stance within culture, Rastafari culture has created a culture that has now blossomed forth into a multi-million, even billion-dollar industry internationally.
Yes,
so
yes.
not only do we seek to address the human rights violation against I&I, but the culture of Rastafari now has invoked intellectual property rights for what the community as Rastafari has created. So in order to go forward, we could not even seek not to own and claim what we have created as a people. So we, in 2007, we embarked upon seeking to bind also not only with human rights but also intellectual property rights to further and to protect and own the culture and all the benefits that should go back to the Rastafari community. And hence, in forming the council in 2007, Rastafari Millennium Council, we invited an international lawyer by the name of Roger Chenez, who helped to construct the form and the groundwork and the formation and the principles of the council. And Roger Cher is this lawyer who had successfully defended the Sands in South Africa against a pharmaceutical giant that was infringing on their traditional knowledge.
Is he the South African lawyer?
Yes, he's a South African lawyer, but he's attached to the World Intellectual Property Organization.
All right.
So these are the connection that we have to make to be accredited worldwide and internationally in for them to recognize Rastafari as an indigenous culture, demanding the rights.
Okay, give thanks. Give thanks for that. Most honorable every time. Be locked in, folks. www.sfdcradio.com. Yes, currently talking to the Right Honorable Prophet Greg, yes, from the RMC and Rasta Millennium Council. Yes, it's all about updates, yes, and it's so in effect, you know, are we saying the rest for the benefit of the listeners? Are we saying the RMC? Therefore, are there members from all the houses within the RMC?
Yes, the RMC was mandated by you would say in inception we had a 13 mansion mandating us with signatures and letters. Not all the mansions, because I can tell you straight up that the Congress, the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, you know, as Bobo Shanti,
yes, they
had only an observer status in the beginning of the council, wanting to see what aims and objectives and how effective now this gathering will move forward. Because before the formation of the council, there was another organization named the Rastafari Centralization Organization that was there before us. So, and the president at that time was Rasta Silva, who was made an honorary chair. He has now transition and gone the road of the elders now tradition in Zion and going treading with the ancestors in Zion. But he was honored as an honorary chair to the council because of the work that he had been doing with the previous organization, which is the Rastafari Centralization Organization. So there are mansions and organizations that had joined onto the council, and at present now we are still working to cohesively to see how best we can still bring the community closer together, because in our presentation and what we find, there is still the guard of the autonomy. It's not that the council is here to relinquish the autonomy of mansions and organization, but to find common ground, how we can work together, similar like the Africa Union. It's like a union. We are trying to bring everyone together to bind and to work with a one voice resolution in things that are impacting upon the council. So we do have membership. The membership, they have each mansion and organization submit their representative, and from there now an executive is formulated from all those members, and so therefore the executive has carried through the representation of the council from that time to now.
What can you tell us about some of the executive members and the current chair?
Okay. The current chair, as how it is as we speak, is designated to be Sister Mitzi Williams.
Okay.
You know, that is the current chair. But there is certain dilemma. We can't really go too much in details where that is, but things do happen but we move forward to resolve issue. But the current chair, as how it is recorded now, is Sister Mitzi. As I spoke, I am the General Secretary. We have a treasurer in Rasgard. We have also an assistant treasurer in Sister Melinda. We have a PRO in Ras Lance. No, that's rather Priest Lala. Priest Lala is and also Ras Kremlin is also our PR. So we have an assistant secretary in Sister Sidani. And these are members, as you know, from various either individual or other organization. Like for instance, Ras Kremlin represent the first Dreaded Order of the Nyabingi. Priest Lala is a member of the Ethiopian National Front, which you know you probably hear of, who has recently passed, Ras Max Ferguson in America. So we have a group in Sister Mitzi. Currently, her position is with the Nyabingi first, not the first order, the theocracy reign order of the Nyabingi, as popularly known as the Nyabingi House. So there are wide representatives of ones coming together as mandated by the mansion, and we as a council have to respect those representatives that are sent forward from the mansions and various organizations to continue the unified process of going forward. We have also Ras Sangi David from the 12th tribe of Israel.
All right, Ras Sangi David. All right, give thanks. All right.
That is also on board.
Again, yes.
The wide representation going forward. There obviously within every organization you might have a little differences going forward, but this is what we have to resolve these things for the benefit of the Rastafari community, because this is who we are working for in the interest of the community's rights and representation. Lance has been working closely with the ancients. I think he is best to analyze what work he was doing in England, what he carried forward within the council in its early inauguration. So I'll let him, give an update where that
Listen again, Brother Kush.
Right, Honorable Ras Lance, welcome to the show, the Nubian Beat.
Ras Shing is a popular name. Ras Shing, please.
Ras who?
Ho Shing.
Make we get that spelling there. Stick a pen right there, so. Make we get that stick a pen and paper. Write down. All right, Fireball. Spell that name for me, please.
That's Ho hyphen capital SHING. Ras Ho Shing.
So, okay, well, this pen, hold on, just scribble the pen, because I need warm up. Just say it slowly again for me. SHO hyphen?
No, HO hyphen capital S HING.
Ho Jing.
Yes, Ho Shing.
Okay, yes. Yes, nice.
As what our beloved Prophet Greg was going through the explanation, as you know, throughout the evolution of the Rastafari movement, there's been many organizations during that period of time that has brought it to a certain level. The last organization was the RCO, right? But as you know, the RCO in its time had fulfilled its time. We then came into 2003 the global reasoning. The purpose of the global reason, as you know, was to see exactly what was the international present position of all the Rastafari movement throughout. And out of that came the 53 recommendation. Out of that same reasoning, the custodian of the 53 recommendation was the Rastafari Council of Elders, which was headed by Ras Shaggy Berry. Okay. That was in England.
All right.
I don't know if you're familiar with Ras Shaggy Berry.
No, Kingman, no. Tell me more.
Right. Ras Shaggy Berry is one that set up all the great organization on Electric Avenue that brought forth. He went to England in the early 50s. Okay. Right. The House of Lords, the old change of the Race Act, the Race Discrimination Act was a resulting work of Ras Shaggy Berry. He's written in the law in the history books of European history in terms of what happened in the UK and the works that he has done. Right, he's the one that Manley sent for in the 70s to bring down to Jamaica to actually implement the social development program, which has now become successful today here in Jamaica. This is Rashagi Berry. We refer to him as Tekla Hymenat because that was his baptism name out of the Orthodox faith, right? He was also responsible for the 53 recommendation to be implemented in Africa because through the works with Shantawa Archer, which I don't know if you're familiar.
Yes, Bertrand, yeah, man, from the 70s. Yes, that's true, man. Shantawa Archer.
Shantawa Archer.
Yes.
Right, between ourselves, right, with the elder Rashagi Berry, we went immediately. I didn't go with him. Rashagi Berry went to South Africa, the African Union that was gathered in South Africa. In that meeting, Rashagi Berry did declare the 54 recommendation that had come out of the Rastafari movement. And that is because the conference that came to Jamaica was originally intended to go to Barbados. It was through the intervention of Rashagi Berry and the work of Santora, Colleen Archer, Ashantara Archer, that we were able to bring that conference here historically to the shores of Jamaica. And as you know, as I said, throughout the movement, there's been many different organizations, right? After 2003, we've now reached 2005. 2005 brings us to 2006, which there was an opportunity to bring all the group up together under the Ethiopia African Union Millennium Council, as it was in its formative. I was a founder, member of that organization. The purpose of it was the celebration, as you can recall, of the 2007 millennium, the Ethiopian celebration of the true millennium, which was the year 2000, according to our ancient calendar. So all of us came together very successfully, right? Worked with the government, and many initiative was very successful. Well, out of that coming together is what you now have, because Roger Channel came down and he had advised the Rastafari movement that eventually you must have, seeing that Rastafari is the central name of all the different mansions, any council or any organization you're now going to use to centralize the mansion must first have the name of Rastafari at the front of it. This is why now you now have Rastafari Millennium Council as opposed to the original founder of it that brought forth the Rastafari Millennium Council.
Okay.
So there are one councils, one objective, one aim, right? One God, one destiny, with the first priority of always being, as you know, repatriation with rehabilitation. This has always been the agenda. We have now reached a time which we now call the 21st century. A lot of our people have now become knowledge, because knowledge now is now at the touch of a button, right? We're now in the process to understand the whole legalities of organizing ourselves, right? Of putting forward, because I must mention while we're talking, because obviously eventually we want to start talk about the reparation, the whole movement of that.
Well, yes,
right?
about to come on to that, my brethren. Yes, may I come on to that next as you touch upon it there. So, we'll just make you finish talk. But
I would like our brethren, our brothers in England, to remember that the great Fillmore Alvaranga, Brother Phil, as he was lovingly called, right? We were very much involved in his ceremonies. He was laid to rest. Fillmore Alvaranga. Yeah, man. He's one of the first elders that went on the first mission to Africa in 1961.
Right.
That visited the 5 states of Africa towards the whole reality of repatriation. In that visit, as you know, they met His Imperial Majesty.
That's right, yes.
Right. Well, Fillmore Alvaranga is also the founder member of Mystic Revelation.
That's right.
All right. And as you know, those who is not familiar with the group Mystic Revelation of Rastafari, this very significant group that brought a cultural identity through the true drummings of Africa.
Yes.
Because it was out of Brother Phil's gathering in 1944 at Caricom Hill with the drum that created the strain that created reggae music eventually. So there's a great history for we to celebrate where Brother Phil is concerned, but most particularly He's known to us for the great works he has done towards repatriation and reparation. Right? Because he not only brought it to the United Nations, he brought it to the Queen of England, he brought it to Europe, he went through to Africa with it. Right? So he has actually left a good footprint for us to now finish it.
So, Lance,
when we come to that segment.
Well, as you touch upon it now, we're going to come to it now because you lead,
as I says,
you lead your reasoning right into that.
A memory taught to Brother Phil. And in the same breath, I would like to extend my condolences to the family of Brother Racimo McLean.
Yes,
who have been
honorable.
informed that has recently passed off and is going to be laid to rest. And I hope he joins the great warriors of our ancestors. Right, but I know Seymour very, very well because, as you know, we was quite established in the work that we did in London. This is why we had to come to Jamaica, because Jamaica is the final declaration, but there was always problem here. Now we don't have that problem. The Millennium Council, which we now have, is fully authorized. And the works that they've been doing, you judge them by the works that they've accomplished. And what I can say to the world out there, the Rastafari Millennium Council is a central organization of the Rastafari movement to bring us forward into the 21st century. And we look to work with all collective bodies. I am an international spokesperson and coordinator for the Millennium Council, the Rastafari Millennium Council, as one of original founder. I'm also affiliated, which is my calling, to the declaration of the St. Elias Teahido Monastery, which has been declared to be built in the Blue Mountains of Jamaica of St. Thomas, which bring the true faith of our anciency, the Teahido faith, that will unite all the division that is amongst Israel. So we can have a mention about the monastery later on, but we do want to concentrate now on the process of reparation, because we feel we don't need no more discussion, we don't need no more research, we don't need no more arguments between ourselves. What is now needed is for Africa and Europe, the black man and the white man, to get together face to face. And in this case, where Europe is concerned and where England in particular, because England and our history is fully entrenched from a very long time. So in this cause, we of Jamaica is now focusing our attention in England. We want the British people to know exactly where we are, because until when this issue is brought to a conclusion, the disturbances between race in the Middle East, between Israel and Palestine, within the Far East, all the disgrace amongst humanity will not be settled until when we are able to settle this issue between us. And we can do it in a divine, humane manner, because we are civilized. And we serve a God that tells us we must forgive all those that has commit atrocities against us. Because of our own sins to be forgiven, we must forgive. So we have forgiven Europe. We have forgiven England. Right? But what we want to let you know, that an apology will not be enough. Debt cancellation, because Africa doesn't owe no one. The Caribbean doesn't owe no one. So debt cancellation of all our debt payments, 78% of our GDP of African countries and Caribbean countries are being used to pay debt. We want that to be cancelled because we owe Europe no debt. Europe was built of the blood of Africa, of the resources of Africa. Europe was modernized of the resources of the Caribbean, particularly Jamaica. And it is now time for us to put this matter to a conclusion. And we do not want no hostility, but it must be known. We must bring this to an order. And the only way we can see it, we will not go to the government of England. We will not go to the Queen. We will go to the people, because they must know exactly what the masters have done. And that is where we are, my beloved brother.
Give thanks and praises. You're locked into the A1 station, www.sfdcradio.com. You're listening to the Vice. Yes, Elder Ras Lance, all the way from Jamaica way. We give thanks for that because you don't know, as like him say, amongst other things, fundamentally, the Rastafari Millennium Council is a central organization, yes, for the Rastafari movement. Universally, globally, and that is important for I and the diaspora all over the world, yes, for kind of hear that and have that clarification, because we hear when things pop up about the place. Now, within that remit, we don't know, say it's very important, and we want to find out how does the organization actually serve its communication resources, because, you know, for instance, now, especially as a central organization for the Rastafari movement, and again, you mentioned reparations. What can you give us, what kind of update can you give us, Kingman, on the issue concerning reparations? As you know, recently, the 1st of November, a petitioning, and also SFDC Radio did also rally around the people to sign the petition to be handed into Downing Street. To this date, so far, the people on the station has done an up-to-date. As the central organization of the Rastafari movement, are you able to give us an update as to what has been going on since the handling of that petition, whether it was handed in, whether there was a response? Are you able to give us any kind of clarification, any level of kind of transparency, of accountability as to what's going on there, so in relationship to the reparations petition?
All right, beloved. Give thanks, Prophet Greg. You hear me? Prophet Greg on the line now.
Give thanks. Okay, give thanks, Prophet Greg.
We would like to know that with the information and documentation that we have a Facebook, Rastafari Millennium Council Facebook. The name of our Facebook account is Rastafari Millennium Council, and we also have an email. So if ones want to contact and get more information on the council, they can browse through our Facebook and contact us by email, and we'll be happy to send position papers, more documentation, brochures, you name it, to update ones and ones of the work we are doing. So, as I said, I'm just going to repeat it. Our Facebook, the name is Rastafari Millennium Council, and our email now is Etio Africa Millennium 2000 at gmail.com. I will say that again. That is Etio, and this is all one word. Etio, that is ETHIO, Africa, Millennium 2000 at gmail.com. So we give thanks to all and big up our listeners out there. You know, we have to give thanks to the greetings, and as you know, the 84th celebration is going through of the coronation of His Imperial Majesty and Her Imperial Majesty Empress Ezeke as far going through as well, because the balance is always there to show us that the kingdom of I and I, Creator, is moving through. So in regards now, beloved ones,
listen, I want to stick up in this, sir. My virgin coming, my virgin has two, in my interview saying what I asked that question. So we don't know if it's all about interaction program. You're locking to the one station, folks, www.sfdcradio.com. Currently on the air with the Right Honorable Prophet Greg, yes, and it's all about, like I said, the Rastafari Millennium Council, yes, and like I said, we're talking about, because we know many ones, including, like I said, management all here, we rather get enough ones around and send the petition. Many ones remember signing the petition for 10 Downing Street, etc. Fantastic Silver Fox, special greetings, welcome to the show.
Yes, bless up, Sir Kush. And who am I talking to?
Honorable Prophet Greg.
It's Prophet Greg, beloved.
Prophet Greg, big up yourself. When the petition was to be signed, SFDC Radio, which is the station you're talking on now, we played an active role in trying to get people to sign the petition, sending stuff out daily, constantly, Twitter, Facebook, and all the other medias we use, yeah? So, the question that Circus just asked, I'd like you to answer it, I mean, a bit more clearly, as to what was the outcome of the march.
All right, give thanks, beloved.
If you got the relevant information.
No, all right, just to answer that question, just straight up, as much as how we had submitted letters and documents from the council point of view, we have not, let me repeat, we have not as yet received any feed forward, and we must also mention that the ones that we had and link up with is the Rastafari Movement UK. That is the umbrella that we had communicated with. Okay. And I want to take this even opportunity to big up Prophet Jabi. He was very instrumental in even setting up interviews and so forth, going forward from the council to interact and move forward to even get our documents moving forward. But to answer the question directly, beloved, to this day, we have not received any direct response from the organizers that we had joined with. But we, from the council's point of view, will be submitting our letter as a follow-up to what we had presented on the 1st of August, seeking information, if any, had come forth. We hear sounds that there were certain response coming from the Houses of Parliament, but we have not get any full response coming directly where that is concerned. And this is why we have to do our necessary follow-up, because we had actually submitted our document and position paper, which is named the Rastafari Nation Fundamental Rights for Repatriation and Reparation, a draft document that was created in February 2009, needs to be finalized, but it engulfs all the actioning of Rastafari movement, even ones who were agitating, like the Honorable Marcus Garvey, before that, coming up to the Rastafari. So we give thanks to them, but that is the clarity going forward.
Okay, just want to let you know that on the website itself, that's the radio website, if you go on the community, you will actually see a link that link with that document which SFDC Radio is posting out on a daily basis. Same way, I'm not stop posting it out, because obviously we know say to get a result sometimes it takes a long time, you see me. So I'm still, Sir Kush, we are all still doing our best to get the information out, because it's for a good cause, you see me.
Blessed my brothers, Ras Kush, this is Ras Sing again.
Honorable Prophet, because like we said, fundamentally, because the people are very much, we don't know, so these times are serious times, and again, when it concerns accountability and transparency, we know so it's vital. So we give thanks for your clarification, because for the people that can hear themselves that RMC has not been updated with a report following the handing of the reparations petition to the British Parliament, and and that was one of the questions that we were discussing during the week with many brethren and things. So we know enough ones here for themselves, and therefore and again, it's things like this we surely need to tighten up on. Again, because incidents like these, again, like I said, because everything nationally, obviously we're going to discuss in the public domain, but again, we really have to look at these last days and all, because certain things is quite fundamental and certain things is quite basic, and many people are asking even questions like Prophet Greg, when many organizations, you seem to have many officers in many organizations, and people are asking questions like, are these officers selected or are they elected? And again, that's going to be another subject deep in itself, because especially things like some business standard report, reparation, because people are ready to go, people want to do what we do next, people are looking for direction, because we signed the petition. People are wondering that, well, we did need X amount of 1,000 petition. Did we reach that mark? Did we reach that figure? You see me, I say, many questions are being asked that even I and I cannot answer. You see me, I say, and so we give thanks that they established themselves as the central organization of the Rastafari movement worldwide. Because, again, we have to really tighten up, again, upon how do we actually serve as a communication resource and for the information that needs to be channeled to worldwide to all Rastafari communities, because right now people are ready to go and the struggle continue. You see me, I say, do we have enough petitions? Do people continue signing the petition? What is to be done? People are looking for direction. So we give thanks for the liaison that you're there to function your role. We're not going to take time to bring to centralize and to organize and to unify things together. So this, again, we have to really tighten up again upon how do we actually serve as a communication resource and for the information that needs to be channeled to worldwide to all Rastafari communities, because right now people are ready to go and the struggle continue. Do we have enough petitions? Do people continue signing the petition? What is to be done? People are looking for direction. So we give thanks for the liaison that you're there to function. Yeah, so again, we do apologize if we did slight interruption for the explosion interruption there. So, but yeah, Honorable Greg, so again, the main thing was that you clarify the situation, so we can't ask you to comment upon a report that you don't have. Yes, but again, areas like this we definitely need to tighten up on. And we give thanks that the organization is there also to function in that role and tighten upon areas like this. There's a whole...
Brother Kush.
Yes, King.
Majesty. Now, regarding the petition that has been put to Parliament, we fully applaud it and we fully engage with those that was essentially responsible for that. What we've also done is communicated with those that were brought together in 2003 when all mansions and all the Pan-African groups, including Nation of Islam. The legal head at that time was Black Crest for Justice. So what we've done is connected to all those others. Now, our brother, Giselle Gordon of Gordon and Keynes, he's very significant. He's been working with us throughout the years. We've put in together an executive body up in London, which we want to be joined, because this thing cannot be no longer segmented. It has to be joined together unitedly. Whether you are in mansions, whether you are in black churches, whatever organization you're in, so long as you are an African, right? We all have to participate in this. So the next step forward is for the groups in England to come together. I want Jabi's got all the information for Giselle Gordon. I want you all to start coordinate, so you're all coming together. We are working on an agenda to bring myself, Lord Gifford, who is currently up in London in England, and also Mike Henry, right? We are on a program to bring that, to start to bring these issues, not just into the schools, but the universities, right? And start speaking to the people, because we want to engage, because this decision, as I said, it is a humanitarian. And until when this issue is settled between Africa, the people of color, Europe, the Europeans, all other unrest, all other wars that is happening, both in the Middle East, between Israel and Palestine, all over, until when this issue is finally settled, that is what will settle the rest of the unrest throughout all nations. We don't want this to be lingering any longer, because it's time for us to move on. And the only way that we can deal with this issue, we have to sit across the table between ourselves and the British man. And we want to talk to him and let him know exactly that this thing has got to be settled. And it is not a payment. Do not think it is a payment because you haven't got enough numbers to pay it. And because we're going to forgive you, what we want is the people to know is that your government and your institution has put debt burdens on Africa and the Caribbean, knowing fully well that Africa and the Caribbean has never owed them a cent. It was out of Africa and the Caribbean they built modern Britain, modern France, modern Portugal, modern Italy, and the list goes on. Modern Germany, you name it. It was all built from the African. They didn't take it from the Chinaman. So therefore, we must now settle it. And I'm asking and appealing to the European people who is listening. It is time for us to close the book of the transatlantic slave trade. But because you profited so much, and because many of you do not really know exactly where your wealth came from, that build up your universities and all the great things that you see in England, your banks, Lloyds of England, all your great institutions. You need to know where it came from. And we have forgiven you for your sins that you've committed, but The God of our forefathers have said to we must tell you, it's not an apology. It must be a repentance from yourselves. And if you really truly repent, you will know exactly what you have to do. I won't need to demand nothing from you. But in this instance, I want the British public to know that it must be debt cancellation. We do not owe you nothing, but yet you continue through your government and your institution to debt burden our people lower than the poverty of any humanity in the modern 21st century. We are asking you because this is our final call out to Europe. This is not a begging. This is a final calling because you're part of the human family. So my beloved, the reparation issue, it must now be settled. And the only way we can do it is to come together, all the groups of us. All of you in England must have one aim, one God, one destiny. It must be done. That's the only way. Collective security.
And you know,
down in Jamaica, the Millennium Council is doing that centralization work. And I must mention that the Honorable Job Bunny Whaler is an honorable member of that council. Honorary chair of this council.
Which council is that? The Rastafari Millennium Council?
Rastafari Millennium Council.
I give thanks.
And as you know, recently at the gathering of Caricom, is special ambassador towards the all reparation reality.
No, many
so we
people
do not have a better honorary chair than one from the music house and one from the true house of Rastafari, who has done the tread. He's been through the Nyabingi. He knows the 12 tribe. He knows all mansion that came out of Ironai.
Give thanks and praises.
And later on, I would like the pleasure of because we're actually here at his residence, and I'm going to invite him on because he's one of the elders right now that is seated amongst us.
Yes.
And spearheading this final drive towards the full freedom rights of our people. And it's not a human right. It's a God-given right.
Give thanks. Most honorable, they locked in www.sfdcradio.com, World Sound and Power, Rastlands, yes, Rastafari Millennium Council, yes. And like the man them say, according to the grace, we're going to work for the link up with the Honorable Bunny Wheel and the Rasta Elder Chair, yes, of the Rastafari Millennium Council, yes. And Rastlands, you take it right up from this, you take it right up until the Caricom. When they mention the Caricom now, because the works and the struggle continue, and we notice that the Caricom was established in 1973. The Caricom is actually the Caribbean community. There's an organization of 15 Caribbean nations, yes, and it's all about the claim for reparations. Some people may assume that it's something we should forget about and just move on, yes, but some people, you do have a legal argument. You know, you have Martin Day. Martin Day is the British lawyer representing Caricom's claim, yes, and Sir Hilary Beckles, the chairman of Caricom, yes. So, and again, like we say, it's a serious matter. People assume that.
Yes,
so
Brother Coach,
yes, King.
We do applaud and support all the works and endeavors of Caricom.
Yes.
But as what you say, it is a community organization, right? Each state of that union. Right, have a government that respectively have got to make a decision. Right now, as you know, Jamaica has been the forebearer of all the reparation and repatriation movement. What now must take place is that Jamaica is currently, through the efforts of Mike Henry and the persuasion of Rastafari, right, philosophy and teaching that has come to the elders that are seated with Mike. Mike, as you know, has been pursuing this issue in Parliament. Well, next Tuesday, our government here in Jamaica is going to make a decision upon the issue of reparation.
Okay.
So therefore,
yes,
right?
Yes.
What we're saying, Caricom, we applaud.
Yes.
All the works that is done, but it is only a community organization.
Yes.
Right? State individually as government must claim. This is why Prime Minister Gonzalez of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, he has put in his motion and his government has made a declaration to support the whole claim of their claim. Where Jamaica is concerned, we are now dealing with Jamaica claim. This is the Africans' claim. Because remember, Gonzales, we love him. Gonzales is what we will call, he's a Carib. He comes from the Caribbean.
Yes.
So he will be claiming against Europe for the atrocities against the Caribs. Well, while he's doing that, Jamaica must now make that first step because we are the forebears of it. And we must take that mantle to now complete it. And it's not a coincidence that England and us are so entwined for so many hundreds of years. Because once we deal with England, then the rest of the issue, because England, being noble, will set the right precedent. And because we're going to tell them, we do not want a payment, what you need to do is debt cancellation.
So, Honorable Prophet Greg, are you a talk?
Yeah, man. That was Ras Hoshing, but you mentioned.
Ras Hoshing, yeah, because as we say, just to reflect on what Ras Hoshing did I say? You see, man, say, are we saying therefore that even within the Caricom, is there representation of Rastafari around that table?
Yes, they are representative. As you know, even the first conference that was organized by, as Ras Hoshing said, by the Honorable Prime Minister Rash Gonzalez in St. Vincent's and the Grenadine, there were Rastafari organization and representative there. And of course, you know, from the auspicious of who the branches are, or there are branches out from the headquarters of some of the mansions or the major mansions in Jamaica. They have branches and representatives over there who actually made representation. But they were representative, and as Ras Hoshing rightly said, the Honorable Bonnie Whaler was there,
yes.
And he was bestowed to be the cultural ambassador for reparation at the first conference. So what had happened in going forward out of that conference, and as we know, it can only reparation can only be addressed through a political resolution, because governments have to meet now and go towards the representation of the people's right through the United Nations, where this thing has to be agitated for if there's not a political decision making by the bilateral effect of people who are impacted by colonialism, mainly from British, France, and etc. So in moving forward, coming out of the first Caricom reparation movement,
yes,
or rather conference, there were 10 proposals,
10 demands
that came for 10-point action plan for reparatory justice, in which the heads of state of Caricom all agree, and these 10 points now are I should say were debated in the second conference that took place in Antigua recently, and in going forward to see how best this resolution can be resolved in presenting this to the European country, specifically, as you know, England, who is a major culprit in slavery and colonialism during that period.
Yes.
So I can quickly name the 10 points.
The 10 demands. Yes. Give thanks.
And then how it was debated. Unfortunately, there was a storm. It became a hurricane, but a storm, I think it was named Gonzalo, passed through Antigua, developed there, and there were communication disruptions. So it's only recently I actually spoke with the organizer for Antigua for where the reparation. I should say that the Caricom representing, I think they are as you say 15. They have formulated national reparation committees. But these committees are formulated based on the mandate given from the United Nations World Conference Against Racism. They are mandated now to do the necessary follow-up to address the atrocities of colonialism and slavery. So I will just briefly name out the 10 points that came out of the first conference, which the second conference now has created a workshop now so for ones to submit and their points in going forward. So the first one is to have a full formal apology from the European countries who impacted I slavery. The second point is repatriation.
Yes.
The third aspect of it is indigenous people cultural rights, and these people are as we know, ones that are the ones, the original the original owners of the cultures of the Caribbean before the impact on slavery, and other indigenous people affected from South America, etc., etc.
Okay.
Number 4 is cultural institutions, how those can be formulated. 5 is public health crisis. 6 is illiteracy eradication. 7 is African knowledge program. 8 is psychological rehabilitation. 9 is technology transfer. And the final mentioning is debt cancellation. That's number 10.
Yes.
We from the Rastafari Millennium Council had submitted our points towards this 10-point action plan. Unfortunately, we were unable to make the trial this year, but we had made representation last year and also presented our position paper on the Rastafari Nation fundamental rights for repatriation and reparation. So this is basically the framework going forward in regards to the agenda. In regards to the agenda, in the essence of going forward, we know Rastafari moving forward, there's going to be such confrontation with, because obviously, you know, Europe is already on board talking about them not paying reparation, So that is why it is essential that having done a first magnificent march in England, because you are right in the heart of the belly of the beast right now, having done such a wonderful work and preparation, we cannot relent going forward without any, if there's not a positive response coming from the houses of parliament, even the monarchy who impacted on the slave trade, because Rastafari, all black people, we are the claimants, and until our rights are being addressed appropriately, compensated, even according to the current laws against human trafficking, I cannot remain silent on this issue, and all transparency in what we want for resolution and binding the unified voice to go forward. We implore I to always be transparent in going forward with the things. All documentation that we have submitted can easily be studied, easily be presented on any request. That is why we submit our information where you can get access to all this information going forward, because the rights of the people should not be hidden. It must be known. It must be put forward, because as claimants, we cannot be, this is our lot. And if I may, what we had emphasized in going forward, and I think it's even appropriate now, knowing that the coronation of His Imperial Majesty and Her Imperial Majesty is still going through.
Yes.
The confidence that was given to I can be repeated even at the inauguration of the speech that the Emperor had given to the formation of the OAU in May 25th, 1963. And I will just highlight this. Those men and women, as you may say, who refused to accept the judgment passed upon them by the colonizers, who held unswervingly to the darkest hours to a vision. This is a vision now from Marcus Messiah Garvey going forward of an Africa emancipated from political, economic, and spiritual domination. So this is a whole holistic redemption of I, politically, economically, and spiritually. All these dominations from Europe, these ones will be remembered and revered wherever Africans speak and meet. What we may utter today can add little to the heroic struggle of those who, by their example, have shown us how precious are freedom and human dignity, and how little value is life without them. Their deeds are forever written in history. So these are the fundamental word sounds and power, the advice and magnificent counsel that we have in going forward. It may not be an easy road, but we are going to be very frank and very persuasive and very demanding of Europe to address the colonial atrocities impeded on Africans. And the first fundamental right for human trafficking is that you have to return the people from whence they were taken. And I will just quote also in going forward how significant in even dealing with the aspect of repatriation and reparation, that the 10-point agenda that we had submitted, it is important that the United Nations also highlight in a draft resolution that was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly. I believe that this was in sometime in 2006. But this resolution states about restitution, which it says restitution should, whenever possible, restore the victim to the original situation before the gross violations of international human rights law or serious violations of international humanitarian law occurred. Restitution includes, as appropriate, restoration of liberty, enjoyment.
Rastlancy today. Have we lost the runs, and the platform is there to speak. www.sfdcradio.com. Yes, we're going to see if we can reconnect up. Yes, with the original Rastlans at Jamaica. We're there. Yes, Ras Oching. Yes, Ras Oching. Yes, we can. Ras Oching. We're there on the line. Can you hear us?
Beloved, did you hear which part that we were cut off? We were addressing the situation where the United Nations had outlined what restitution is within the course of claiming reparation for the atrocities of violation of human rights. Yes. And this was adopted in the General Assembly, I believe it was between 2005, 2006 going forward, coming out of the Durban Declaration that had resulted in 2001 at Durban, South Africa. So did you hear that presentation? I can just repeat what the restitution has, what the definition for restitution has outlined within the United Nations. It says restitution should, whenever possible, restore the victim to the original situation before the gross violations of international human rights law or serious violations of international humanitarian law occurred. Restitution includes, as appropriate, restoration of liberty, enjoyment of human rights, identity, family life and citizenship, return to one's place of residence, restoration of employment, and return of property. So I cannot rest or hold up any form of agitation until, as Marcus McGarvey said, this Back to Africa movement and Pan-Africanism, as how it has described the movement, come forth to its fullest fruition.
So we still have a long way to go then, Bridge. We have a long way to go.
We have, it may seem long, but the fact that Caricom heads of state has taken up the issue, which is the mandate that they had to take up from the Durban Declaration of 2001, because this has to be a government-to-government negotiation for the rights of the community who are the claimant, the impact of colonialism and slavery.
And Russ Ochin, because them have Martin, are you happy within your own vibe, your view? Are you happy with the fact that Martin Day is the British liar representing Caricom? Is the organization itself happy with that?
Well, as I says, this is not a humanitarian cause. This is a godly work. So it doesn't matter what color the representation is. What I'm saying to you is that all the
no, I never mentioned color, you know, King man. Remember, I mentioned is Martin Day. But I was happy with the fact that it's Martin Day.
Well, I personally do not have knowledge of him, so I cannot give a comment of him.
All right, King man.
All right?
Okay.
Right? That is, but what I'm saying, this is not just based off on humanitarian rights, what is written on a white piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
This is a God's right. And this must be collective. The groups that we've mentioned yourselves, Jabi, I've given Jabi the links with certain executives that have come together to now galvanize the whole process. Now, you and I know that, I heard you mention how long this is going to take. Let me tell you something. We do not need any more discussions. We do not need no more researches. We do not need to look into no books. We don't need to look for anything. What we now need to do is to bring the people of London, the people of Europe into this topic, into this issue. And the only way we're going to do that is to bring programs like this on a weekly basis until the fullness, just as how the Berlin Wall disappeared, well, so this issue. And we cannot wait on government, we cannot wait on the various institutions, because we have learned from past mistakes. We have already proceeded all those channels already. The Queen has politely given us some ambiguous response to her position, which is quite, honestly, is quite shameful of her, but then that is the Queen. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying to you is that it's the people, the British people, the ordinary man that goes down to the local pub on a Friday nights. These people that we walk amongst and we travel, these are the people we must now engage on it. Just as how when we needed the whole reality of Mandela coming out and the whole issue of apartheid is the same thing that's now, because the British public must know this. Reparation is not a payment, so do not think you can pay us. Mm-hmm. It is simply a debt cancellation, and that is very simple to do. But in order for that to happen, they need to go to their government, just as how they did on the behalf of Nelson and all other righteous human rights movement. They now need to do that, because the reality of it is, without this being issue coming to a conclusion, as I says, there's wars all over the world today, and His Majesty spoke of this at this time that we're in. Well, the only way to solve the world problem, the African man and the European man, and in this case I am speaking directly, I here in Jamaica and those there in England, because you have an history of 400 years of what you took out of Jamaica and how many slaves that was mercilessly murdered in pursuit. So
basically, because if they don't apologize, is it like saying that without that apology, the history will remain like a thorn in the side of their history?
Let me tell you something, my friend. As what the Pope recently gave an apology. Because remember, this started through their religious churches. Yes. Because they declared Africa to be a dark continent. They declared Africa to be Africans with men without soul. And these men must be at all costs. These off men must be at all costs. No matter what it takes, we must subjugate them and bring them to this new Christian order. The Catholic Church was responsible. Right? The Presbyterian, the Methodists. And we can name the list of them. So when the Pope gives an apology, we don't need an apology, Pope, because we have forgiven you. But guess what? The God that we serve have said, you have to repent to Him, not to me. We will forgive you because we want to get on with our lives. And what we're telling the British people is to join a godly cause, because this is righteous, just as freedom of Mandela. The freedom of the African continent is vital to the future of humanity.
So when we ask the people them to join the godly cause, are we asking the people them to get behind Caricom?
Beloved, all right, in moving forward, right, as though you hear Ras Hoshing.
Who we talking to, King, please?
This is Prophet Greg speaking now. because obviously the debt that is
Honorable
due.
Prophet, Honorable Prophet, we'll stick up in 1 minute. Honorable Prophet, God, just want to say special greetings to each and every, because we have some new people that are locked into the show, so I want to say special greetings going on to each and one locked into the A1 station. Yes, we're locked with Jamaica. I want to say blessings, greetings also going on to all the empresses, all tight every time, all tight Ross Ruben. I also want to say special greetings also going on to Brother Mandingo, the original Brother Mandingo. Yes, you don't know, so every Monday you can catch Mandingo with the 1 hour spot, over 1 hour spot sometime on the Monday program, Brother Mandingo and the Kuna. Honorable greetings also going to Prophet Jabi and all the them lock in and empresses them all over the place. We say world tide the smiling West Coast of Mama Africa and the Gambia lock in, world tide send kits lock in, world tide Canada lock in. Yes, it's a royal greetings going out to the world every time. Yes, you lock in and you tune into the honorable voice of Prophet Greg. Give thanks, Prophet Greg, Rastafari Millennium Council. Give thanks.
I'm saying yes, beloved, and I must also comment as well to give big up to Ras Mandingo, who within the promotion of the march in England, as you know, was also very instrumental and promoting it, because these are the things that are needed now to sensitize not only the Rastafari and African community, because we know what we have gone through, but the whole educational process of reparation and the rights for the people them is a necessary step.
Well,
as you know,
stick up and write this up, Honorable Greg, because it's as if well, I think we have, as you mentioned, the man, Prophet Manding. I think we actually have him on the line. There's one set that for, and I want to say a special greeting, because special greeting to the show, www.sfdcradio.com. Do we have the Honorable, yes, Brother Mandingo on the line?
Yes, this is Mandingo, yes.
Give thanks and praise first.
Mandingo on the line.
Yes, man. Give thanks, Brother Mandingo. Miss your Monday and receive circumstances, but we give thanks. Say you're there. As you can do, we have Brother Honorable Prophet Greg, and you don't know the brother. You have Brother Mandingo. What you want to say, Brother Mandingo?
I've been listening, you know, things that have been said, you know, that really need to comment on. But I heard Oshing a while ago saying that reparations is debt cancellation. But reparations is not debt cancellation. It is not. It is not about cancelling any debts, because this is what the so-called heads of states in the Caribbean, Gonzales in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the others there in the other islands want to do about getting some debt calculations, cancellation. But reparations is more than that.
It's more than that. There's a bigger picture.
Yes, so beloved, Ras Mandingo.
The fact of the matter is that reparations are owed for Africans worldwide, not just in the Caribbean, but in Mother Africa itself, and in the US, in Brazil, in Britain, wherever Africans are. And part of reparations involves financial payment, not all of it, but part of it involves financial payment.
Yes. Listen. Could I comment on the framework?
Honorable Prophet Greg?
Yes, speaking.
All right, all right, give thanks for all the line right there, so Brother Mandingo. No go nowhere yet. All line right there.
Yes, I'm listening.
Honorable Brother Honorable Greg.
Yes, beloved. As I just read out the 10 points that were adopted from Caricom coming out of the first conference, the 10 point had include debt cancellation. But what I need to stress in going forward, the position paper and the program of action that came out of the Durban Declaration in 2001, there is a paragraph, I believe it is paragraph 158, that has itemized from A to S, which begins with debt relief and goes right down to the facilitation of welcome return from Africa, which is really to the resettlement of I&I. So I'm saying it is going to be a situation where all these aspects that has impacted because obviously coming out of the first conference, from you have a 10-point agenda, it is reflective of the demands of the claimants, which will also include debt relief, because that is being impacted not only in the Caribbean, but it's also impacting on the continent as well. Yeah, I see. So it has to be a combination. It cannot be anything less than a combination, because as the emperor said, we were impacted politically, we were impacted economically, and we were also impacted spiritually by colonial domination, in which we have to holistically address all these three matters in going forward. Because the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey said, simply put, if you take away political freedom from a people, if you take away their industry, what you will be left with is a group of slaves. So it is important in going forward. We cannot singly identify one aspect of the effect and the cause and effect of colonialism. We have to touch on all aspects for the holistic restoration of the African people who were impacted politically, economically, and spiritually. So all things have to be addressed.
All right, Prophet Bandigo, come in, King.
Listen, I had to make that point because that was what Ho-Ching has said. And it was more than debt cancellation. So what Greg is saying there, he's saying other things.
Yes.
In addition
yes.
to the debt cancellation.
So Prophet Greg,
which was my point originally.
Yes,
because what Greg is saying is something that I know about from a very long time. Because I'm a veteran Garveyite, meaning I'm a veteran Pan-Africanist. Marcus Garvey Jr., the son of Marcus Garvey, and I and other Africans. From in the 1960s when we had our political party in Jamaica, have been fighting for reparations on an official basis. And before that, other Africans. So this is not something that is new to us as Pan-Africanists.
Yes.
This is not something that we are aware of since Durban a few years ago. This is something that I, another Pan-Africanist, Marcus Garvey Jr., Brother Cyril Stewart, and many others have been fighting for a long time, and others even before us, you know.
Yes.
And with respect to Lee Day, the British firm that made a lot of money off representing Africans in Kenya.
Yes.
I again, time and again, I have denounced any use by the Caricom regime to be using them to be representing us in any legal case, because we have qualified African lawyers to represent us. We don't need any European, any British firm of lawyers to be representing us. And as a matter of fact, they made a lot of money, much more money than who they claim to represent in the Kenyan situation.
The Mama case.
And we don't want that repetition with regards to Africans in the Caribbean. Because this is all about using this European firm, British firm, to be making more money again off African people as what they did with the Africans in Kenya. And by the way, the Africans in Kenya who they claim to represent are not any Mau Mau. The term Mau Mau is a racist word which the British invented to describe the freedom fighters, Dedan Kimati and others, who call themselves the Land and Freedom Army. It is only ignorant people use the term following the racist British.
Brother man nigga, because I'm pull this brother man nigga, because I look for something now, cut there man nigga, hold on man nigga, man nigga, 1 sec. I look on the time, I notice the time I run out fast. Alright, because I don't want, we have man nigga live on the airwaves Monday, folks. Remember, so the Marcus Guy vibration. I'm about, I'll be look on the time and time I run up on me fast. Alright, well, but the man nigga, I want to give thanks for your comment. I just want to carry on, yes, with Prophet Greg, and carry on, catch up on some of the update, because I want to find out what's also going on with Pinnacle, and a few more questions we're getting from certain people them to ask the particular organization. But before we go, Brother Mandingo, just give your last comments, please.
My last comment. You know, I hear a lot of people, for example, talking about Pinnacle. Pinnacle is from the area where I am from, because I am from Spanish Town. That's where I was born, and Pinnacle is next door. Pinnacle is a place that I know personally. Leonard Howell and other people like that. There are people and members and so who I know and know about the organization from a personal basis. And you have a lot of people who have been jumping on the bandwagon of Pinnacle and know nothing about the history of Pinnacle. I'll leave it for that for now, but in the future, I will deal with
Monday we are talking, Brother Mandingo, Monday.
Exactly, because there are a lot of bandwagonists trying to jump on the reparations wagon.
And we have to address that.
Mandingo, the Gaviite, will not allow it to happen.
Give thanks, honorable Brother Mandingo, www.sfdcradio.com. We give thanks. We also currently still have on the line, folks. Yes, honorable Prophet Greg, yes, from the Rastafari Millennium Council. Please go ahead, Prophet Greg.
Brother Kush.
Yes, give thanks.
Yes, this is Ras Oching.
Oh, Ras Oching. Go ahead, Ras Oching, you're live.
Yeah, man, as we said, we fully understand all the history. The history, the books is there to show up the psychological damage, right? But when we start looking to it in all realities, it's not discounting, because remember this, right? The trillions and trillions that it comes to is a lot of debt to Europeans, and they can't pay it. We want to move forward, and with no more pain of any debt, we are able to start reconstruct your interior for those who wants to return back to Africa on that reality. Those who wants to be rehabilitated in their respective places, by the mere fact they're not paying this every debt burden of 78% of their gross products that they earn, they will be able to improve the environment and the community and infrastructure of all their respective islands and states throughout Africa. What we're looking for, sir, we know of the great debt that is owed. What we have to do now, we have to move forward, and it's not because we're forgetting, because there's no money that can replace the trueness of the righteous African. There's no money on earth that you can pay us for that. So in order to move forward with a false issue, because this has been going on for too long, let us be the one who set the perimeters, and let us be a reality, because we must show mercy. That is our teaching from our God. And it's not because we don't understand the economics that was involved and everything else. But in order for us to move on, my friend, debt cancellation means we're able to concentrate on our infrastructure immediately. And all it needs is for the people of Europe to realize that and to do what is just. The rest of it, you go and repent to our God. And whatever it is that your heart tells you through your repentance that you're going to give to Africa, then you do so by the goodness, gracious of mercy of your repentance. What Africa? This is why Marcus did not pursue it, neither did His Majesty. Because why? The wealth of Africa is intact. What we need is to remove these debt burden that Africa didn't owe from beginning. We know what you took from Africa. We're not stupid. We're not ignorant.
So it's like saying that. So so Oching is almost like saying, so there's 10 demands, but the top of the list then should be the cancellation of the debt.
Because it will allow our people to repair ourselves naturally by creating the infrastructures that we need in our respective, whether it's in Jamaica, whether it's in the Congo, whether it's in Nigeria, South Africa, it will allow them to do that. And that is what's needed at this time, because a place needs to be prepared for those who wish and desire to go home. Remember, the two topics of the true Rastaman, one was repatriation and rehabilitation. Those who desire to return must be able to do so without no impediments, free passage of journey, returning back to a proper community fully with the proper modern infrastructure, proper drainage and everything, this is what debt repayment will be able to do, the cancellation of that.
So it's
and
like,
if we're no longer paying debts that we don't owe, whatever you want to give to Africa, because believe you me, my brother, Africa can create a new history, a greater one. But what must be removed is the debt payments that continue to cripple the African continent. And this is what we're appealing to the British public, the French, and all of them. Because debt repayment, debt cancellation must now happen immediately.
well, like I said, my virgin, it is 10 demands, yes, and it's about putting them in priority. You have the debt cancellation on top of the agenda. We know it's a Caricom have it. The Caricom want countries, like you say, France and Britain, to make amends for their involvement, naturally, in the, what we call the African Holocaust, aka the transatlantic slave trades. Yes, and again, like I said, the 10 points, yes, it's 10 points, and on top of the agenda, you can hear the brethren appealing, yes, that things would move on faster, yes, if the cancellation of the debts was the first top of the priority. You may agree, you may disagree. It's the world sound power, Ross Hoching. You know, when we look at, because I know time around up on me, we still want to squeeze 1 and 2 vibrations, because we talk about, when we're looking at everything, whether Ross Hoching or Ross Prophet, Greg, you know, how does the Coral Gardens affair fit into everything? The Coral Gardens affair, because we'll have a question earlier on from my ones down them area, the Coral Gardens affair, and all the prosecution of the Rastafari elders them. You know, who's responsible for those crimes?
Yeah. Okay. Could I say something just to strengthen Ras Mandingo, who was there as well?
Yes, give thanks. Give thanks.
There's a situation, as you will know, of bandwagonism, etc., etc. So, what is important and what the council is formulating is that what you need to have in place is position papers, legally entrenched and legally binding, to represent the issues at hand. It is necessary because when you represent the culture, the rights of the community, you can't shake documentation and legal binding agitation going forward. That is why he is very concerned with Lee's approach in addressing a standpoint on how you address the legal aspect of it. But it is good also that the state of Israel, you know, is still receiving reparation from 1952, because that state was born out of reparation, in which I believe 830 million was spent to start to resettle 500,000 Israelis there now. So it is a process. It is not only going to be a cancellation, because there's still the economies that are still being controlled by Europe. So there's a lot of things that the AU will have to address to balance the ownership of our wealth on the continent in going forward. That is why it is imperative. We know you're going to have a dispute. Debt cancellation, yes, is important, but there are many aspects, as even though the United Nations has declared that there has to be more restitution outlined in going forward.
Yes, give thanks, world soul and power. And again, as people don't know, even today, if the Nazis them can also still be held responsible for their crimes, the Holocaust, yes, why can't Britain also in relation to the African Holocaust?
Yes.
Go ahead, Elder, go ahead, Elder.
You mentioned Coral Gardens because,
yes,
what can I say? Coral Garden is major spin-off, because Coral Garden is a situation that is impacting directly on Rastafari because of a directive that was given from the colonial government from as early as 1937, specifically against Rastafari. Yes. So you not only have Coral Gardens, you have, even before that, the Pinnacle, because from Pinnacle you have Bakawal, which is 1958, and then you have Coral Garden. What is happening though, the Prime Minister of Jamaica has outlined and organized a committee that is formulated, I believe, from 2013 to look at all the atrocities that was committed against Rastafari. It is a committee that was set up, and the first thing that was being visited, because it is not only going to involve Coral Garden, it is firstly addressing Pinnacle. And so the Coral Garden issue is on the table albeit though, we have to be persistent and trying to reactivize that committee in doing work, because it is presently focusing on Pinnacle with a declaration of some heritage site. So Pinnacle in itself is still being under what you call it now, research to find more resolution. So because the focus is a bit on Pinnacle, albeit there is now going to be a 6-lot declaration and acquisition by the government for a Rastafari heritage site, but more research is going to be done where that is concerned.
So today, currently, so today, I will say, so today, because we know people are hearing reports that the lot 1999, the Pinnacle, is it actually declared as a national heritage?
No, this is what we're saying. It has to be negotiated as a Rastafari heritage site. This is what was declared in a meeting, and there's supposed to be 5 more lots added on to that lot to make it 6 for the start. What is needed now is to organize the proper management of those lots now within the Rastafari as declared, because the heritage that is up there, it has to be Rastafari, because there's nothing else up there within a national framework.
And it's just 6 lakhs in total, isn't it? What, 6 lakhs in total? For start. This is what they have identified, but not to be declared as a site, but it has to be acquired now from the government and to establish a management team, which would include Rastafari, to see how best this Pinnacle monument can go through. But I know there's time and I know there's a lot of questions, but as we had introduced, I'd like to really introduce Ras Bunny Wheel, as you know, they clear him. Honorable Livingston, CD, OJ, but you don't know Jabi is Jabi for I and I Rastaman every time, because he's our honorary chair. He has been just bestowed an honorary position as the cultural ambassador for Caricom where reparation is concerned. He was recently even honored at a Rastafari conference, a Rastafari University conference in 2013 as one of the honorary, along with Elder Iris, and as well as the Honorable Prime Minister Ras Gonzalez. So I would really love, because Jappy was even up there when the march was going on in England, or passed through and made even representation and support of the Rastaman every time we march. So I want the item, just welcome our honorary chair, Jaboni Wheeler, just make a nice bless. Give thanks and praises. Honorable says this evening there, we say we give a living tribute to the same living legend. We humble it, honored, we say we give thanks and praises when the ancestors them give accessibility to the elders. We know the elder have a busy schedule every time. It's a most honorable moment, it's a memorable moment, it's a historical moment in the history of broadcasting. Right there, so Luton Town, Bedfordshire, United Kingdom, the honorable, the living legend. Members say we don't talk, but we do a living legend, a living tribute, because we don't wait for we elders them to pass on to the ancestral realms before we acknowledge them. We acknowledge them every Wednesday. We acknowledge a living legend. This evening we acknowledge the right honorable and seat that the ancestors them, and through the power of the Almighty we have them. So we give thanks and praises. Yes, honorable, Bonnie Wheeler, give thanks, my brethren.
Yes, fire, there in the fire,
Give thanks, more upon top of the plenty, because the eye is naturally an institution in itself. And I was saying to the people, even when we go back to the wheelers, and many people are still realizing the fact that, because we asked the question, Bonnie Wheeler, Peter Tosh and Bob Marley, if I was to say that the whole of the three of them is related, would that be a myth or would that be a fact?
Come on, watch this now. Wheelers is a family from before the Wheelers were formed. My dad had Robert Marley's mom pregnant with both of us having the same sister. So, and Peter come again and got my biggest sister pregnant with Andrew Tosh. So the Whalers grew up to be a family. You know what I'm saying? And I am still here as the survivor of the Whalers, doing those things that are related as a family by putting out and focusing on the recordings that is, related to our history. And as Bonnie Wheeler, I'm still here. Give thanks.
Yes.
To the highly
I give thanks. I will give thanks to the Bonnie, because This evening we do a tribute, and the tribute involve rinsing off most of the tracks off of your communication album.
Yeah.
Thunderbolt.
That's a serious album.
A very, very serious album. That's what I say, and again, amongst other things, what has Bunny really been up to? Because we know the people that recently know that you was on tour in UK, and many people.
Good question. Well, right now, you know that reggae music, ska, reggae, rocksteady, has been focusing for over 50 years now. From Wheelers, before the Wheelers, you have the Maytides, the Scatterlights, and all of these people. So now is the 50th anniversary of all of this music that we have been playing. And I, as a survivor, has now put together a 50 track, reincarnated souls.
What?
Related to the 50th anniversary as we celebrate. So I'm presently focusing in that direction. And, as the Whalers started this whole thing, we came to England in the 60s, and we brought this message to the world that, that who are now seeing themselves as Rastafarians, white folks. They were very young folks if they were alive at the time, but now their little brothers are now dreadlock Rastafarians. So I can see where the culture has been focusing and has made a kind of a presentation that all races is now involved. I went to Japan. I saw the Japanese man with his dreadlock in his lap. His dreadlock is a whole heap of dreadlock. But him is a Japanese in Eli Selassie. Yes. Japanese out here now in Jamaica who are focusing on the glory of His Imperial Majesty. So I am satisfied to know that, the doctrine has been born here in Jamaica from that time, and before His Imperial Majesty came here and was left to us legacy that is now calculated and being focused on globally, that all brethren all over the universe know of Rastafari and serve Him the truth, right? So I am satisfied, and I give thanks to all of these brethren who have been fighting, battling with the necessary forces to be exalting His Imperial Majesty right now, and all the things that is related to development Rastafarians internationally. So I give thanks, to know that this is happening, and more things happen. Yeah.
Honorable. If you're locked in, folks, yes, we're locked into the living legend, where we say we touch all the chops later on. Living legends, we bust it up earlier on. Yes, taking off the album also. Yes, so we always give thanks. Yes, when the ancestors them, give them energy and protect them and guide them, and make no dopey come trouble them. Somebody
we surpass that. Listen now. Syrian doctrine has surpassed Dopeyism.
Yes.
Dopeyism of gossip. I and I stand for truth and right. You understand?
Yes, King.
So that is where the whole thing is focusing on. So, don't worry about Dopey.
Yes, man.
Dopey know who for frighten.
As Bob said. And Bonnie, as we're talking with the person about the Rastafari Millennium Council, tell us about the I role and responsibility within that function.
Yes. Well, the Millennium Council is a focus that every African should be now, involved in, And I am satisfied with all the work that has been done over the period, and the work that is done now and the work that is to be done futuristically in order to benefit Rastafarians, because Rastas have done a lot. But Rastas has not been treated in the manner of what they have done, you know, in as far as the lot that they have done.
Yes.
So I, man, personally, you know, is aiming to see some progressive things happening out of the doctrine of Rastafari. And the brethren, here they speak, when you listen to them, they are carrying us through the measures of diplomacy so that we can be able to talk to our brothers and sisters globally in interesting them in the struggles of the Rastafarian as we go forward in healing highly I, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. So I give thanks and to know that the I them is there doing exactly what the I them is doing and making this focus be something that, you know, I'm satisfied to know that it's happening, you know, coming from where it's coming from to where it is.
Yes, but Luton Town, buddy, we are Luton, one place called Luton Town, Bedfordshire, many we who born over here in the diaspora. Sometimes it's just the history we learn about, and we have to use the history is our only guide. And we read about the history of the elders. You know, again, I personally have never met the I in a liberty from a longer time, and we don't know that Rastafari movement from Jamaica has always been the vanguard of the African culture, with elders like yourself at the forefront. You see me I say, and keeping that revolutionary spirit vibrant. And we don't know, so when Bob did pass on, the music did take a little change. What is your concerns now, Bonnie, concerning the music industry and the way reggae music are going?
That's why I've done a fifth track, you know, because sometimes argument can lead to argument and you never really get where. But you see, if you just get the reincarnated souls
yes.
from Bonnie Wheeler,
yes,
then you will be in focus.
Yes. Reincarnated souls.
Reincarnated souls. That's the title of the album. I'm sorry you don't there, yes, so that I could just give a copy. But if you focus, it will be in the shops.
Yes.
You know, yeah, as we speak. So just focus and get it. Get it.
Give
reincarnated souls.
And again, no, you know, shortly, all the people can keep in tune, but people want to know what is on the agenda for the future. Bonnie, what can you tell us at this moment?
Come. Talk to this Empress here. She will give a more focus, you know, on Bonnie Wheeler, in as far as my involvement musically and otherwise.
All right, before you go, seal off with your closing comments for our listeners. Then, Bonnie, give me your closing comments.
My closing comment is for us to stand strong and be doing what is right for the new generation that is coming along.
Yes.
And I am satisfied to see that what we have done so far, you know, is good and strong and is benefiting this new generation that comes along. So we should be focusing in that direction.
Give thanks and praises.
Yeah, and I would like to say to all the listeners, you know, to give thanks unto the Most Highly I, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. For He has made us the way we are, and we are here still putting up a good fight in order to exalt the true and living Creator, Jah, Rastafari. So, give thanks, and every time I want you to know that the work continues, and there is a lot of people that has been involved in this work over the period. You know, I want to talk to the sister now.
Yes.
Screen store. Yeah.
Give thanks, honorable elder, Rasta elder, honorable living legend, Bonnie Wheeler. All blessings.
Yeah, it's the last year.
Rastafari.
Yeah.
Give thanks.
I must say, beloved.
Yes.
We give thanks to have even Sister Maxine Store here. I know she's going to follow up on what Jabi had just said, but she is really very much instrumental in the formation of the Rastafari Millennium Council, where the intellectual property right and the introduction of the lawyer is concerned. there's not much time because time is going. So I without any further, I want you to really give thanks for Sister Maxine Store. Blessed love and
give thanks, Honorable. Royal greetings, welcome to the show. www. Greeting to the show. The feminine part of the vibration. Sister Maxine Store, welcome to the vibration.
Yes, well, I was late for the reason because I was actually at the Cannabis Commercial and Medicinal Research Task Force.
What? What you said to me?
Right, where we, I'm vice chair of the Ganja Future Growers and Producers Association.
What? Okay, what update can you give us on that concern, especially the decriminalization? What can you tell us at this moment in time?
Yeah, well, at this moment in time, they're putting their toes in the water, right? Mm-hmm. But for us to ascertain the rights that we have advocated for over the years, we are about to launch a campaign because we are going to need funds to mobilize our community and, the people who support the real rights of the plant and the value of it to African people and to the Rastafari community to get our share of this industry that they're developing. Right? Because everything is in industry. If you consume it, you have to buy it from someone, Right. So we are fighting now for our industrial right within our sacramental right to be included in the framework that they're seeking to develop here. Right. So that is going to need funding in order for our voice to be heard. Because the medicinal and the pharmaceutical people are trying to,
Yes.
determine what is happening here.
So we have our listening audience now, as you mentioned, funny. So how can our listening audience help in that area now?
Well, I'm about to launch an Indiegogo campaign, a crowdfunding campaign that is spearheaded by the Honorable Bonnie Wheeler.
Okay.
As the leading advocate for ganja legalization overall and for the rights of the Rastafari community to benefit from that. So we'll be launching that Indiegogo campaign. Other than his Reincarnated Souls album, he has just concluded a Nyabingi album.
What?
Yes, so that Nyabingi album will be another, tour de force in what the Honorable Bonnie Will has achieved. And it will also be one of the, leading out for this international campaign for the Rastafari community. Because you see, the rights that the Rastafari community acquire in Jamaica is going to be able to be translated to wherever the communities are abroad, in England, America, etc.
Yes.
So that's why it's going to be important for the communities abroad to impact on the legislation here for the community. And they're not just going to give it to us. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
We are going to have to carve it out. And the community needs to understand the importance of funding the legal,
yes,
framework and strategy, because it's going to rebound back into Africa, England, anywhere the community is.
Well, yeah, it's like funding your own liberation.
Exactly. So that we hope to have that, we're going into Brazil for 2 weeks, the 10th to the 24th. And then once we come back in December, we'll be launching that program.
So again now, what contact details can you give up for people? Because you have people around the world who may want support and can only support in different kind of ways. I don't know, if somebody want, for instance, send you a check with some money, are you able to give out some bank details? What kind of details can you give out at this moment in time for people to correspond and to liaise with you?
Well, like I said, everything is run through the Rastafari Millennium Council.
All right.
And Solomonic Productions, right? So all of those information will be included in this Indiegogo campaign that can relate to members wherever they are in the world, right?
Okay.
And they'll be able to, send in, etc. And then as we communicate, are we going to have more programs like this, right? When is the next follow-up program?
Well, we haven't confirmed that yet, but we did definitely say we have to have more like this. We definitely, this is the first of many, because we need a regular, because there's more on top of plenty to discuss. So hopefully we're going to try and see maybe every other week at least we start off with, because usually the Monday show, I have a Monday show where we usually have the discussion. You see me, I say, so we're going to talk off here during the week. I will be talking with Honorable Prophet Greg, and we're going to line up and confirm with some consistency, yeah, all the programs going to go, yeah? So, yeah. Honorable, give thanks.
Brother Kush,
Yes,
this is
King.
Rascal Singh, right?
Oh, Singh, yes,
We've
sir.
been coordinated with Jabi to also to inline other radio stations so that we can have weekly broadcasts throughout London. What we currently need, as you know, the motion towards reparation that is being tabled in Parliament of Jamaica next week, Tuesday. We are asking, appealing for all the Jamaican diaspora to actually send email text towards all the government parliamentarian in respective areas that they are from, right? And pertaining to the marijuana,
Yes.
the legalization of that,
Yes.
you can go on the Rastafari Millennium Council website,
Okay.
and you'll be able to see the information, because we definitely need some form of funding from the diaspora union, because remember, out of the medicinal, a lot of the Jamaican diaspora can benefit from it. The medicinal purposes of the marijuana, not just the woman, but the benefits of the hemp that can be produced here in Jamaica, is an industry that requires investment. Right? And obviously, as the world knows, Jamaica grows the best strain, both in the medicinal, and I'm quite sure when we start the hemp market, it needs investment, and we are appealing to the Jamaican diaspora, because what the Rastafari community is doing under the Millennium Council, we're now setting up proper infrastructural villages that will be growing agricultural products as well as medicinal herbs, which will include the marijuana, medicinal marijuana. All right, so there is opportunity for investment, and we can, as I says, everything is transparent and accountable.
Give thanks for that. Give thanks for that. Ross Ho Ching, World Son and Power. Do we still have the Empress on the line?
Yes, blessed.
Yes, give thanks, Empress, because you know the show we are rolling up, and we're definitely going to have more, and we're looking forward to talk. But again, just officially, what is your position within the RMC, sis?
Well, I'm a director on the board, and I'm also the consultant focusing on intellectual property rights.
Yes.
Right. So that's basically it.
Give thanks. I know we have to seal up, and I'm looking. I know I'm going to talk to you more in the future. But before you seal up, what would your closing comments be to our listening audience?
Well, you know, the closing comment would be that our vision is now on the table, right? And so we have to move to more actionable action. More action now rather than visioning and, advocating. We have to now gear ourselves up to participate in what we have created. We have companies now in Jamaica like Red Stripe who are now moving into the African market on the back of our culture. You understand? So when you see that Jamaican companies now are going to Africa ahead of our, rights and our activities, we know that it's time for us to move from visioning into action.
Yes.
Because people are now moving on our back and they're not moving with our agenda. You know what I mean? So that's a big, wake up call for people to understand what is happening now.
Give thanks.
Yeah.
No, we're going to give thanks, and we're going to look forward to linking up more and catching up more and getting more update with what's going on, because we obviously in the diaspora and we don't know, so the struggle is a global struggle, and Luton continue, the whole struggle continue, and we have to sort out with differences, whatever the differences among ourselves, and strengthen each other, yes, because the chain is as strong as its weakest link. We want to give thanks. Before you go, send some greetings to some loved ones.
Honorable?
Yeah, send some greetings. Heal up who you have to heal up, and big up who you have to big up. Send some greetings.
Yeah, well, basically, first, we have to give thanks to SFDC Radio for accommodating the Rastafari Millennium Council to really give clarity in some instance on the works that we have to do on behalf of the Rastafari Nation.
Give thanks.
So I want to really send big ups to Prophet Jabi up there, because he is very instrumental and our link into the England, where the connection and the way forward and mobilizing and moving connectivities moving forward. So we give thanks to Jabi, we give thanks to Rasman Dingo, for being instrumental in aiding I going forward. And I know there's more to say and thing where that is concerned, but for right now, we just give thanks to all the Rastafari community in England and worldwide. because we have to bind together, move towards a unification process, because just a unity is strength. When Rastafari and all African people unite, the world will come together. So we give thanks and praises continually. So blessed love, Rastafari, greetings to all ones.
Give thanks again. Give thanks again. Ras Lance, is Ras Lance still here?
Blessed Brother Kush, yes, I like to say blessings to all the brethren, Jabi and yourselves who are doing the work. I'd also like to mention Giselle Gordon. As I said earlier, it is important that all the black groups, all the Pan-African groups comes together as one, and that we move towards this issue and one accord, and obviously to sensitize the British public towards the whole reality of it, because it's also part of their legacy, which they need to understand. And as I says during the broadcast, we can come to a final conclusion, and it's time for us to put this issue at rest so that we can look forward to creating a greater history. So one perfect love in the name of the Most High, Iosos Christos, the begotten Son that you also call Jesus Christ, and also in the name of the most divine of Israel King, Rastafari. Enough blessings, enough love to my British family, my sons and daughters who are there, my brothers, my mother and so forth if they're listening, and all those who remember the works that we have done in England. All the love and one perfect, one aim, one God, one destiny. Enough blessing, enough love.
Give thanks again, Ras Lance. Honorable brother Mandingo, come in please, Kingman, and say some greetings and give your closing comments, because we will see you Monday.
Yes, closing comments from Mandingo, the Gavi, is that recently there was supposed to be a report on Thursday the 16th of October about the reparations march, which was on the 1st of August 2014. And I have had from good sources that there was a reply to our petition, the African petition, not the Rasta petition, because it was an African reparations march. And there was a reply. And at that meeting at Milan, Queen Mary University, up until that time, up until now, as I am speaking, we have gotten, as Africans, no reply for us Africans who participated in the march.
Why is that?
Well, we need the people who got the reply, which is a very few, to explain why we at large as Africans have not gotten the reply, because the reply is for all of us and not for a small group.
Because we were saying earlier on, Brother Mandingo, because the station here was also SFDC actively involved in getting people to sign the petition. We've been waiting for a reply, a response.
I did a lot of shows where I spoke with you, Brother Kush and Brother Silver Fox, on SFDC Radio to promote this African reparations march. And we are all entitled, each of us, to have a copy of this reply from the British regime.
All right,
and
we're going
this is
to
something that we demand.
Well, so we're definitely going to need it, because we did discuss it earlier on. Time around up, Brother Mandingo, we're going to carry on Monday. We're going to catch on with that. I'm going to talk with some of the items during the week, because during the week I want to find out what's going on in our life. We get a copy of the report even before for the Monday again. But we're going to definitely look into that. I know the Rastafari movement.
Every African is entitled to a copy of the reply to our petition.
Yes.
Because the only reason why there was a reply was because we as Africans, irrespective of religious belief, participated and made the African reparations march on the 1st of August. It was a Friday 2014 successful.
Yes.
We demand nothing less.
Yes. Give thanks.
It is not for a select group, it is for all Africans.
Yes.
We want the reply.
That's true, man, because like we said, many people don't also sign the petition too, and then I wonder what is happening next. People is asking me what is happening next. I don't know what is happening next. I don't get no respect. I don't get no report. I can't tell the people what it is. So we need to know what do we do next. Do we carry on signing the petition and we fulfill that objective?
No, we cannot cannot continue to sign any more.
The microphone cut out. I think the phone gone. Brother Monday got the phone cut out. Not to worry. We're going to continue Monday with the vibration. Yes, and we're going to get an update with the full finding what's going on following. Honorable Prophet Greg, Honorable Rasselans. Yes, the whole of the RMC family, we give thanks and praise. We thank you for your time. Thank you for the gracing us, the airway. This has been a historical moment, and we will be talking to Prophet Jabi during the week so we can line up and the next one, because we want some consistency, because there's a whole lot of things to talk about, a whole lot of things to constantly update, and the whole vibration, the platform is here for education, for stimulation, information. Even when I and I may not agree with every views of everybody, but everybody, the platform is there for each house and each body to represent the cause and where they might deal with. So we always give thanks and praise when they can there for join with us, because the youth them need the accessibility to the elders them, to the wisdom and to the knowledge and to the experience. So we give thanks again for joining us on www.sfdcradio.com, the Nubian Beat Show with myself, Kush Genesis. Give thanks.
Some are leaves, some are branches. I are the roots. Some are dry wood for the fire. Whoa, look at that. They need a dry wood to cook their raw food. Whoa, look at that. Got to survive in this man-maniac down depression. Got to survive in iration. Miss a root, naughty root. Dread, dingy dread. I at the root. Some are wolf in sheep clothing.